Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for April 23rd, 2025. It's the episode you've all been waiting for. It's a 2025 NFL Draft Prop Show. Before we get into the intros and get into all the props for the 2025 NFL Draft, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something for the merch store. It is our August is Gluttony Month. My daughter points to this blue-haired gentleman on the shirt. She goes, dad, 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 dad. So if you want to help support our show and also the design I came up with, please go to the merch store. As you can see here, our 20% sale is back on. For about a month, we didn't have a sale. 20% is back, so you get a discount here. You get shirts for $13, $14. You can change the colors of each shirt. So you can do different options. So definitely check that out. We have our apron, we have our mugs. Also consider going to Amazon, buy my books. It's the most recent one is Jerks to the College Years, where I made fun of people I saw at Penn State for 6 years. It's a lot of fun to write, so I think you guys had a lot of fun reading it. Also, please consider super chats and super stickers. It's the best way to support the show. We had some great ones last week from Slew, John Sanders, Degeneron in the past, Can't Make an Eagle, Armac, The Boss, Karmic, and many others. You guys have been so great with your contributions. I can't say it enough. And it really helps us out so much because YouTube ads pay us nothing, as I always say. I can just go out and look for change and do better than the YouTube ads. So it would really help us out a lot. We have a super chat right off the bat. Degeneron, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Degeneron. Evening Gent's favorite show of the year. Yeah, we've heard that before. So yeah, it's that's why I said it's the one everyone's been waiting for. I am waiting for it as well because if we get some good draft props here, I will be driving to the Trenton Thunder baseball stadium and placing some bets tonight. So yeah, let's get right to it. We are joined by Charlie Campbell, senior NFL draft analyst at WalterFootball.com. Charlie, how's it going? And how's your draft prep with 2 days left?
It's going well. I feel pretty good right now, just with where we are with kind of the info we're getting. So feel pretty good. Hopefully tomorrow night is fruitful, and we'll see. But this time of year, you just never know. Some years, the night before the draft, people are very tight-lipped and nervous, and things go quiet, and other times we find out some really good stuff and interesting stuff. So, like last year. So we'll definitely be working our phones and trying to get as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some great draft props last year and also the year before. Like we had an insane number of Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Lions. So hopefully we can find some stuff tonight. As you can see on the screen here, if you're just listening, I'd urge you to just watch the YouTube video and check this out because we had the odds on the screen here. I'm not in New Jersey, but if you just change the URL of FanDuel, BetMGM, Bet Rivers, and Caesars to NJ instead of PA, you can see the draft odds. You can't even see the draft odds in PA, so I had to change the URLs here. I couldn't do it for DraftKings, so if you guys are looking for DraftKings or if you find a better number on DraftKings, definitely let us know. But otherwise, before we begin, we can look at like all the picks and stuff. I feel like we can go like 1 through 32 and then look at other stuff, and then we can field questions. Is there anything that like you're looking at right now as far as like draft props, like you're like dying to bet, or have bet already?
Yeah, my favorite would be, yep, that's right. Last year we nailed the first defensive player with Latu. That was a big win. So my favorite would be Armand Membu at 6 to the Raiders. So
Okay.
I think the odds aren't quite as good as maybe they were a week ago, but I still think they're like plus 300 or somewhere around there. I have a hard time seeing the screen.
I'll
But
enlarge. There you go.
but yeah, that one is probably, if I had to pick one right now, that would be my favorite. And aside from that, I think there could be some other ones that we might find out about tomorrow night. But for the most part, we said weeks ago Will Campbell to the Patriots at 4, and and that was in the positives, and now that's in the negatives. So it's a good thing we jumped on that one at that time. But yeah, if you could still find a positive on that, that would be a good one as well.
Yeah, well, that's long gone, unfortunately. I think it was like
Right.
4-1 about a couple weeks ago when you mentioned it, and unfortunately, like I said, that's no longer available. Unfortunate for me, especially because I'm sure everyone who could bet it has bet it already. I'm stuck here in PA. I guess I could have made the drive to New Jersey, but now it's minus 400 instead of plus 400. It's minus 400. So, would you still bet it to minus 400? I'm kind of like I was wondering, like it's a terrible number, especially what you got earlier. But like, if you didn't bet it, like, just pretend you didn't bet it. Like, would you bet it right now, even though it's like horrible number, or would you just like put your money somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the money available, yeah, I mean, if you're wagering, say, $200 and you end up, the payout is 244, or whatever, it's kind of like free money in a way. So,
Yeah,
so from that regard, yeah, I still would. I mean, I think you could consider that with like Travis Hunter at 2, or Abdul Carter at 3. Abdul Carter at 3, I haven't looked at it, but my guess might be that number, uh, yeah, minus 700, I think.
yeah,
So, I keep an eye on that too, because the way these books move things around, there might be some Shador Sanders buzz tomorrow from the New York media, or Thursday during the day, and that pushes that number down. But I really don't think the Giants are going to take Shador Sanders at 3. I'm hoping to get an update on that tomorrow, but that would surprise me based on everything I've heard throughout the whole process with them. So we'll see, but that would be a big 180 in my opinion. So I think that kind of the top 4 are pretty much locked in this
okay.
draft.
Okay. We will look at the top 4 in a second. I will point out that I just popped Membu on the screen here as plus 250. It just got bet down to 230. So I don't know if they're listening or if people bet it just now. They moved the line. The best number for Membu I can see here. Again, I don't have DraftKings available. So if you guys want to let me know if this number is better on DraftKings, Membu is plus 290 on Bet Rivers. So you can try that out. I am limited on player props during games on Bet Rivers, but nothing else. So hopefully I can make that bet. We can start at the beginning, although we have a super
No,
chat here. John C 999. Thank you so much, John C, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. He says, got Will Campbell to the Patriots at 8-1 a while ago. Nice. Charlie is the best in the business, man.
hell yeah.
That's painful as someone who didn't bet it. Now I'm gonna have to eat the minus 400. 400 to win 100. I guess it's a free 100, like you said, but it could have been 400 to win 3,200, which would have been a lot
Good
nicer.
job, John C. No, I hear you though, but I will say I just want to preface, kind of throw in the parental advisory warning,
Sure.
like that, please bet responsibly. Don't bet things you can't afford to lose. And is even when I feel pretty good about a bet, there's always that twinge of doubt, because the draft can be so unpredictable. There can be a trade, and just everything just kind of gets set off. I know from talking with team people every year, whether it's a second round pick or mid late first rounders, teams get guys they did not think there would be any chance they would end up getting that guy. And then they end up, getting them, or maybe a slight trade up and they get them. So everything can change. So just be careful. Even when I feel confident about something, just, protect yourself, and don't go crazy with bets that you can't afford.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this should just be, like for fun mostly, but at the same time, like if you get in trouble with it, and like, if it really like gets you into trouble by betting it, you should not do it. Like don't bet your rent, money, or your
Yeah,
mortgage money
exactly.
like don't do that. If you're in a position to, maybe like view this as an investment, I would say that's the thing,
Right.
But
Yeah, like a
right,
stock, like buying a
exactly.
stock in a way. And yeah, and I want I know I would feel like crap if I lost readers' money. So I
Yeah,
really don't if I recommend something, it's because I feel it and I'm not willy-nilly with it. I'm conservative. So
yeah,
that's how I roll.
yeah. It just went from 2 to 1 apparently. Membo, it's so 230 here, but apparently some people are saying it went to 200. So yeah, maybe people are betting it here, or or I don't know if someone's listening. I don't know. Like the manager of the Circa follows me on Twitter, so it could be that. Vegas says, "Thank you, Charlie. Now who should we put our net worth on?" So yeah,
Oh gosh, yeah, I don't know. In this draft, this is a tougher one than others, but I that right now the Membu at 6 is my favorite.
why do you say it's a tougher one than others?
I just think that this draft is harder I would say over the last 10 years, it's been the most difficult to project because one, you don't have like say a set of 3 to 5 quarterbacks that are going to go in the top half of the first round. And you also don't have kind of a group of elite guys that are going to kind of go in the middle of the top 10. Like, say, for example, 4 years ago when you knew Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Penny Sewell, they were going to eat up a lot of that top 10. And I think when you have a draft like that where a lot of the top 10 is pretty clear, it kind of sets things up for the next set of picks to be less elusive to figure out, and it just kind of sets off a domino. But when you don't have a group of quarterbacks that can kind of anchor one part of the draft, and you don't have kind of a handful of elite guys, I think it makes it more difficult to predict. I
Okay,
just think there's more variable. I think it's just gonna lead to more teams, you know, beauty in the eye of the beholder picks. It's gonna lead to picks that are more scheme specific. It's gonna lead to more just, dealer's choice kind of picks. Like when a few weeks ago we had hot press on there wasn't a consensus about the third cornerback off the board. And there's like 5 or 6 guys that could be the third cornerback off the board. And after the Will Johnson workout, I don't think it's a lock that he's even the second corner off the board. And this is a premium position that teams really place an emphasis on. So when you're talking the top 20 and, maybe 2 corners, and this just kind of leads to the obscurity of predicting the mock and kind of just the draft and just kind of seeing that there's so many variables at play this year.
yeah, and as you said, there could always be trades too.
Right.
I got a little scared today. I got a text saying with a link saying, "Oh, the Bears are looking to trade up to 4 for Genti," and I'm like, "Oh no, what about the Will Campbell bets?" And I clicked it, and it was just a guy with like 300 followers on Twitter, like saying, "I'm like, okay, whew, it's okay." So I don't think it's that legit. We had a lot of questions here, like specifics about like which team and stuff like that. So I figure we can cycle through these teams and then like get to the questions as we get through each team, and like I figure we're going to answer some of them as we go, like by accident. So
Yep.
so like hang tight. We'll answer what we can. And so like just look out because like your question might be answered as we go through these teams. So they have odds for the top 10. I figure we don't need to really discuss the number 1 pick. Cam Ward is minus 20,000. So if you bet $100, you get to win 50 cents. So good. I would not do this one. So we can just skip it, I suppose, unless someone really wants to talk about it. The number 2 pick. So you said that the Hunter and Carter are pretty much locked in. So Hunter is minus 1350. Carter is 6 to 1. And I guess we might as well put in 3 as well because they're both related. Carter's minus 700 and Sanders 6 to 1. Hunter's plus 650. I would have made Hunter higher than Sanders, but I guess like it doesn't really matter because like if If Carter goes 2, then it's going to be Hunter at 3, or if, and vice versa, which we think it's going to be Hunter then Carter. Is there any value in placing 6-1 on Carter, or better yet, 6.5-1 on Hunter, or do you think it's like really Hunter 2, Carter 3 right now?
Yeah, I think you'd probably be, throwing your money away 98% of the time on that. I think that, yeah, maybe 2% chance the Browns shock and take Abdul Carter at 2. So I think the pro day and the other interviews and stuff, Hunter went past them, locked it in with Cleveland.
Okay. All right, that's what it sounds like. But 6-1 is good value, just in case like they change their mind or something. But yeah, I would say it's pretty safe. So we get to the 4th pick. Will Campbell's -600. If you think there's a Genty trade, if that 300 person follower guy is legit, you have almost 5-1 here on Genty. But like you said, Campbell is -600. I saw -400 earlier today, so I guess that's gone. -560 on Bet Rivers, and -625 on BetMGM, and at Caesars, which usually has worse odds. Actually, Caesars has -450 here, so that's your best bet right now if you want to do it. So as we already answered that, like I was, if I hadn't asked you already, I'd be like, oh, do you think you can still do it? But yeah, I wouldn't make like a big bet here, but $50, $100, whatever makes sense for you. But let's get to something more interesting, which is the 5th pick. And we had some questions about the 5th pick, so I feel like some of them are going to be answered, but we'll look at the questions about the 5th pick. So we have Genty at -130. He's become the favorite. Mason Graham +190. Tedero and McMillan 6.5-1. Kelvin Banks 11-1. Jalen Walker 15-1. Armand Membu 21-1. And then you have a lot of long shots. So where are you going here with the 5th pick? Would you bet anything here? So like, what do you have here? The Jaguars.
Yeah, I if I were gonna bet, I'd bet Genty. I think that's where the momentum is going, and I think that I think there's a chance that got leaked out maybe by Tony Khan or someone like that with the Jaguars, and now I think it kind of has grown. But I right now, if I had to bet, I would go with Genty at 5.
Okay. Yeah, -130. I wonder. We can look quickly at some of the other odds, but we had a super chat here from DL. He says for 4.99. Thanks DL. He says, Charlie, it's Dane from Prime 47. Was wondering what your draft day routine is from the time you wake up, and what teams you have heard tied to Emanwari.
Yeah, good to see you, Dane. Yeah, thanks for saying hi, and Indy. Yeah, I mean, draft day, usually I'm pretty exhausted. I'm getting up pretty early and only a few hours of sleep, because typically I'm kind of writing my final mock draft around, from 11 p.m. until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. The night before. So typically draft day, I try and, just kind of double check with people, see if anything else. Typically, there isn't much else to learn, because scouts and team staff don't go to the team facility until 5 p.m. or so. They have off during the day. So there really isn't a whole lot changing on that front. They're not like messing with their boards or anything at that point. So there typically isn't a whole lot to glean during the day on draft day. Occasionally there is, but typically no. So I just, try and exercise if I can, just keep monitoring things, keep posting stuff that we have coming out. Typically, I have to do some radio shows around the country and do those spots, and then just try and get a little chill time in. But it's hard to before, because we're in for another late night. But yeah, so it's a busy day. It's always exciting. It kind of feels like a Christmas day in a way to me. So, and as far as Emanwari goes, I think the teams, I would say Miami, Cincinnati, Seattle. I know Seattle really likes him, but I don't think they'll take a safety there because I think they have bigger fish to fry. But I know their evaluators really liked Eman Worry. So those ones kind of I think are at the high end of where he could go in the teens with the Dolphins. Um, Bengals obviously have that defense hasn't been the same since Jesse Bates left. And then after that, those teen group teams, I think right away at 20, Denver's in play. I think they're more likely to go running back, but I think it's possible. And then I think you have a bunch of teams there in the 20s that could think about it, just because he's going to be such a good value there and high up on boards as far as best available. And you get playoff teams, and they're more willing to go that route because they have less needs to fill from a stronger roster. So Buffalo would make a lot of sense. I think Detroit probably is a kind of sleeper team there because both of their safeties, Branch and Joseph, are coming up on extension time. And if they feel like we can't afford both, along with Aiden Hutchinson and Laporta and other contracts, Jamison Williams to factor in, and behind them you'll have Gibbs and Jack Campbell. So they're going to have to make some tough choices. So if he was there, I don't think that's impossible. I don't think it's impossible for the Vikings, the Rams, as well. So I think he's got a lot of potential landing spots once you kind of get into the middle late portion of the draft.
Yeah, I would say you said Vikings. Ravens, I think, are a good team for one of the safeties too. Okay, so we had another super chat from Degenon, $2. Thank you so much, Degenon. Any chance Jalen Walker 4 to 7? Lots of love for him. So Jalen Walker before Carolina, what do you think?
I don't think so. I think that maybe the Jets would be kind of a sneaky one there. Maybe the Raiders. I just like the I just feel pretty good about that Membu projection. I don't think the Jags are going to do that because he's not all that different from some of the guys they have on the roster already. So I don't like that bet as far as, anything significant. I think that would be like a, bet something small if and hope that you might, get some good odds and score big.
Okay. All right. I found the best odds for Genty. They are on Bet Rivers at plus 100. So still get plus money there, but it's like minus 125, minus 120, minus 130, depending where you look. So yeah, Genty looks like the best option for Jacksonville. We had a question about the Patriots pick going back one for a second here. Eric says Tony Pauline says Patriots love Jalen Walker, so it's related to the Jalen Walker question we just had. So what are your thoughts about that? Because if that is true, hypothetically, the odds on Will Campbell are so high. You get Jalen Walker 13 to 1. So what do you think about that rumor from Tony?
I haven't heard that. I could see it maybe like from a culture perspective and scheme perspective where they feel, that he's a good fit. But I have a hard time thinking that they might like, there are times where teams love a player, but they don't draft him because they love another player more and they love drafting that position more. And you're talking about a premium position with Will Campbell and a second-year quarterback, and they don't have a left tackle. They signed Harold Landry. They have Keon White. This is a strong edge rush draft class, so they could definitely, land one at pick 38 in the second round. So I could see where they do really like him, but maybe but that doesn't change the fact that they're going to take Will Campbell at 4.
Okay, and we had a couple questions about Kelvin Banks to 5. Rob says there was some talk about Banks today. Another commenter said that you mocked Banks to them before. So what about Kelvin Banks to the Jaguars? Which right now, let's go back to FanDuel. Kelvin Banks to the Jaguars would be 11-1.
Yeah, I know earlier from speaking with some of the people with them, like back at combine time, they really liked him and they felt like going offensive line made sense. And I think I had mocked them taking Membu at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, yeah, I did just a few weeks ago, actually. But yeah, I think that's probably not going to happen. I think that they're locked in on Genty. But then I think the defensive linemen are kind of become the dark horse now, like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. But I think that they're probably going to go with Genty.
Okay. All right. We can go to the 6th pick now. The 6th pick is, as you talked about before, with Membu. He's down to plus 210. So he was 250 like half hour ago. So now he's plus 210. Charlie moving the lines here. Is there anything else worth betting? Maybe like a long shot that could happen, or are you definitely locked in on Membu here at 6?
I'm locked in. I think just as far as a long shot goes, I'm trying to recall conversations here.
Well, you had Will Johnson for a while there at 20. He's 29-1.
Yeah, but I think that's not going to happen. I think after the workout and stuff, I don't see them doing that. I think I think that Genty would probably be the only other one I'd consider betting to them, and that's, if you think he's going to get past the Jaguars. But I would say that I don't feel that it would be a divided room if they took Genty. I'll put it that way. Like, there are voices there that would say we should not take a running back this high. We should build up our line, and this is a good running back draft, and we can get a good one later. And we need a line to protect Geno, and we got to win at the point of attack. So I feel strongly about Membu there, and I think Genty would be the only one that I would possibly do a kind of backup bet on. But even then, I feel like I might be throwing money away. But yeah, there's been so much connection with them, and SpyTech has kind of said some, eye-opening things about him and whatnot. So that would be kind of the only other one I'd consider betting at 6.
Okay. It's interesting that for the Raiders it'd be too early for Genty, but yet Genty could be off the board at 5.
Right.
Like
well, it's just different opinion. Yeah, right, exactly.
Right, yeah, exactly. The Jaguars have nothing at running back. The Raiders don't either. But you brought up this point a couple months ago, I think, where Chip Kelly is coaching the Raiders offense, and Chip Kelly coached Travion Henderson and Quinton Judkins at Ohio State. So it just makes so much more sense to draft one of those guys in the second round.
And think of Chip Kelly's offenses and the way he cycles through backs, like at Oregon and elsewhere. I mean, he uses all of them. He rotates them. You may have one guy that's the flash in the pan for a month, and then it's someone else. And, and even at Ohio State last year, he really used the platoon approach. So I feel like that Membu pick just makes a lot more sense, and from what I've heard, I think that's the direction they'll go.
Yeah, and you mentioned the nepotism there with like Pete Carroll's son running the running game, so that would definitely help that out.
Absolutely.
So it just makes so much sense. There's questions about what if Membu's gone with the Raiders? That means Genty's available, right? So like Charlie said, you would hedge your bet with Genty a little bit if you wanted to. But it does sound like Genty's going 5 and Membu's going 6 at this point. Any chance for McMillan to 5? I doubt it. But I mean, Charlie? What do you have to say about that? It sounds like
I think the Raiders definitely want to upgrade their receivers, but I don't think they'd take McMillan at 6. And as the Jaguars, I don't see them taking McMillan at 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that Brian Thomas was a really nice pick that worked out for them last year, and I think if they can add other complementary receivers on day 2.
Yeah, you told me this a long time ago. This is well, not that long. It was like 2017. That it was the year that, or actually it was 2018. It was the year that the Browns. Everyone's projecting the Browns to take Bradley Chubb, and they already had Myles Garrett from the year before. And you said that like teams don't like to take consecutive players in the first round because that means when the contracts expire, they're gonna have to re-sign 2 guys to high price deals in the span of 12 months. So that would be the same thing here with the Jaguars. They're going to give Brian Thomas a huge contract unless he busts, unless he like declines or gets hurt a lot. And then if McMillan pans out, they're going to have to give him a huge contract too. And so like all this money is going to go to one position. So that doesn't like it's not like ideal. You know, teams do it from time to time. But like
right, exactly. I mean, you look at Washington as such a great example when they took Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, and then Chase Young, like in a 4-year span, and that led to like one playoff wild card, berth or division title, I guess. And then none of those guys are, or Daron Payne's still there, but 3 of the 4 are gone, basically coming up into that. Jonathan Allen got a second contract, but the ends get traded, and now Allen's gone, and just you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You only have so many first round picks. You got to spread them around the roster. You need to hit the O-line. You need to hit your premium positions, your corner, receiver, obviously, of course, quarterback. And you got to build a good team. So I love how Detroit drafts because they hit the premium positions, but then they also added other good players at other important spots. The like running back has a big impact on wins versus losses. You get Gibbs. Jack Campbell's on his way to being a really good pro linebacker. So, you can't be stubborn and only draft the same positions. You got to be flexible, but you got to spread those resources around.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the 7th pick, which belongs to the Jets. The favorite to go here is Armand Membu. So we think he's going to be off the board at 2-1, which opens up good value. We have Kelvin Banks 3-1. I feel like that's changed in recent hours. Tyler Warren's plus 340, Jahdae Barron plus 550. There has been a report saying that the Jets like Barron, but I'd be shocked at 7 to see that happen. Mason Graham is plus 650. Felt like he was like the favorite, like not too long ago. And then you have Jalen Walker 8-1, a bunch of other long shots after that. I will say this for the Jets. There was news yesterday. I think Schefter reported, if I remember correctly, saying that the Jets snuck in Tyler Warren for like a secret visit, like a late visit, which kind of makes me wonder if they're going to take Warren. And it's kind of weird because they passed on a tight end last year at 11, and they're going to take one now at 7 who's not as good as the one last year. But at the same time, this is a new regime, and this draft class isn't as strong. And there might be some, there might be some FOMO from these, these elite tight ends. So what are your thoughts on the Jets pick? Anything worth betting here?
The 2, I'm keeping an eye on this, and I'm working my phone on this one. I'm praying that I get some info on this, but I don't know. We'll see. But I do feel of these ones, the ones that I like are Banks, Mason Graham, and Tyler Warren. I like those 3. Probably Banks the least. But Mason Graham and Tyler Warren, I really like those. This is just my opinion. I don't have any inside information on them between those guys, but my gut feeling would be more of Mason Graham because it's a culture pick as well for Aaron Glenn. I think establishing kind of what he wants in the locker room. So I could see Mason Graham kind of fitting that. You really can't go wrong with D-line. And so having him with Quinn and Williams, and then, and Quinnen Williams gets expensive and might be that cap casualty time, you already have a good one there in Mason Graham to kind of pick up the leadership and disruption responsibilities. So yeah, that one looks good to me, as far as just my gut feeling, but I like to get more than that before I bet it, but if you're so inclined, I like Mason Graham and the most, and probably Tyler Warren second.
Well, you know what? You could bet both, and no matter what hits, you're going to profit at plus 340 and plus 650, and you're in a good position to do that because Memo is the favorite, and we expect Memo to be off the board. So it's a
Right,
good opportunity to bet either. But you did say Banks is a possibility as well, so maybe like tread lightly here, but at the same time, I think like
right.
a unit bet on either, like you're still going to profit, or maybe 2 units. So that's what I would consider at the moment. All right, so let's go to number 8. The Panthers. Jalen Walker is the favorite at plus 130. Then Micah Williams 4-1, McMillan 5-1, Mason Graham 8.5-1, and so on. So you wrote something in the hot press on Monday saying that I don't know your exact words, but you said like it's like a done deal that Jalen Walker is going to be the 8th pick. So plus 130 looks pretty good then, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I've heard from team people, is that Jalen Walker to the Panthers is like a near lock. So, I mean, I guess they might be superb at tricking and taking someone like Mykel Williams, but I think I would put it at like 80-20, Walker first and then Williams second. But I just think they're also looking at culture, and Jalen Walker's done really well in the interviews, and I think he fits what Dave Canales and Dan Morgan are trying to kind of establish there. So fills a need. They need pass rush. They could use a versatile guy like him. I think he fits the scheme. So I would be surprised, very surprised, if it was anyone other than Walker.
Well, if it is 80-20, it's a great bet because at plus 130, you only need to break even. You need 43.5% to break even. So, yeah, 80-20 sounds makes it sound great. So this is something I'll be betting. Aiden asking, what if Mason Graham is available at 8? Does that change your opinion? Graham's
Good
example.
question. I mean, no, I don't think so, because Carolina did sign a bunch of veteran defensive tackles, and they have Derek Brown, who they gave a huge contract to. So no, I think they have to go edge. They really don't have much talent at edge rusher. Clowney's aging, and so in the last year of his contract. So I definitely think it's Walker, with the dark horse being Mykel Williams.
Okay. John says you're basically betting 130 that Walker makes it to 8. Yeah, Mykel Williams, by the way, is where is he? He's at 4-1. So yeah, I mean Jalen Walker looks pretty good as we said. All right, so number 9, the Saints. This is a tricky one. You wrote that in the hot press as well. The favorite. This goes to show that like no one knows what the Saints are going to do. Michael Williams is the favorite at plus 430. And Jackson Dart 6-1, Tyler Warren 6-1, Mason Graham 6.5-1, Shador Sanders 7-1, and then so on and so forth. My pick here in my mock draft is Shamar Stewart at 10-1. I just feel like he fits everything they usually draft at defensive end. They love those high upside guys. Doesn't matter if they're productive or not. They just take these guys at 10-1. But I'm looking at the Saints as like a possibility to trade down too. So that makes this extra tricky. Any thoughts on these the potential bets here, because we're getting some great odds with these players?
I wish I knew, but they're also very secretive. I can tell you that their own scouts don't even know who they're getting the night before the draft. Like Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland keep things very tight-lipped and do not let even their own staff know who they're going to take. So that makes it really tough for me to predict what they'll do, and I wouldn't bet on them. if you put a gun to my head and said I had to, I'd probably go with Michael Williams, but that's yeah, I don't have any confidence in what I'm projecting them to do.
I'm going to take a small shot at on Shamar Stewart at 10-1. You know, just like not a big bet at all, like maybe half a unit. Just see what
Yeah.
happens. Did you where did you have Kenneth Grant in the last update? Did you have him to 9 to the Saints, or did you have him like I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I had him 9 to the Saints. Yep.
Yeah, he's
I have a
48 to
hard
1.
time find yeah, I have a hard time finding where to put him, but because opinions are divided, but I could see just given one, I could see where they go D line. And you think of Kellen Moore coming from Philadelphia, and I see some Kenneth Grant has some similarities to Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in terms of his skill set and what he can do. So that part of it. Then they also re-signed Chase Young. They have Carl Granderson, who I think's a pretty good player, underrated player, and Cam Jordan's on his last legs. But the fact that they still gave Chase Young money again, and they have Granderson, that kind of pushed me more towards looking at Grant as kind of a guy to finish off that D line next to Brise on the inside. So, yeah, I mean, Foskey too, another good point, Nick. I mean, you got a recent second round pick invested in Foskey by Ireland and Loomis. So while the coaches changed, the GM's the same. So, I mean, that's kind of the what's given me trepidation about putting Michael Williams to them at 9, which I might do anyway, but I don't feel good about this pick. It's just so hard to predict because they could do anything. They have needs everywhere. I mean, if you told me a week from now they took Tat McMillan, I'd be yeah, I can see it. Their receivers are small and fast and get hurt a lot. So I could see where they'd want a big guy. You say took Tyler Warren. Yeah, that makes sense too. So or O line with Banks because Ramczyk retired. Trevor Penning's been a disappointment. Banks is versatile, so if Penning does get his ass in gear, you could kick Banks inside and develop, and you can never have enough good O linemen and D linemen. So every position, corner, obviously Lattimore's gone. I mean, it's just they're so hard to predict because they need everything. So
Yeah.
it's just it's a nightmare from projection side.
This feels like I don't know if you're in the golf, but this feels like a golf bet. Like you have like Scotty Scheffler, McIlroy up here, and then these long shots you take and just hope that they don't screw up. And like Will Johnson is an example. We had a question about Will Johnson going here. Is his was his workout slash I don't know if you've heard anything about his knee, but like was his workout so bad that he's not going to be at 9? Because I feel like if like I told you if like we told each other a month ago that Will Johnson was available at 9, we're like, oh yeah, the Saints are probably going to take him. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you can't rule it out because I think the Saints, they're unpredictable and I don't think they really care at all about the consensus view on players as well. So I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, and also other teams coming up not far from here, like San Francisco and Miami, Arizona. I think those are a bunch of teams that could take Will Johnson still in the top half of the first round. So,
Yeah.
especially teams that aren't that big into the workout and are more based on the tape, I think they're gonna still be fine with him.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how far he falls, but it may not be that far. Before we move on to the Saints, but one last question here: if the Saints go quarterback, would it be Dart or Sanders? I'd be pretty shocked. Like you were saying, like all these possibilities for the Saints, which is definitely true. The one position I don't think they'll take at 9 is quarterback. Like I feel like they're going to take quarterback at 40 or trade up from 40, maybe to the beginning or the end of the first round or beginning of the second round. But at 40, or what do you lean Dart or Sanders? Because there have been some reports linking Dart to the Saints.
Yeah, I've heard that they've done a ton of work on Dart and had a huge presence at his workouts and stuff. So I've had them taking Dart in the second round of my mock, I think for a few editions now. So I don't know if they've opened up prop bets on Dart at all for landing spots, but that would be the one I would think of as the most would be the Saints for him.
Okay. All right. Let's get off the Saints. Let's go to the 10th pick, which is the Bears. The favorite, it's Tyler Warren at plus 360, Ashton Genty plus 430. Hard to imagine that he falls that far. Kelvin Banks 5-1, Colson Loveland plus 650, Michael Williams plus 950, Mason Graham 12-1, Membu 18-1, and then a bunch of other guys. So where are you leaning for Chicago?
I think I mean for in my mock I've been debating between Tyler Warren and Kelvin Banks to them. So that's kind of the ones I've been thinking of. Loveland's interesting because of what he can do as kind of a movement tight end, but I think that overall, if I had to pick one, I'd go with Tyler Warren. That's who I'm projecting them right now. I think just if you think of they have 2 second-round picks, and can they, I think they could probably come away with starting competition for Braxton Jones with one of those second-round picks, but I'm not sure that in their first one is at pick 39. And I'm not sure that Elijah Arroyo or Mason Taylor will even get to 39. And then the next one's at 41. So if they want a tight end that can really be a good scheme fit for Ben Johnson and be a receiving weapon, I feel like they have to take it at 10. They can't bank that they'll get to 39 and 41. And then I think at those spots they could get offensive line depth and competition. I could also see running back, there missing out on GNT. Travion Henderson would be a great fit for them as in the Gibbs role in that offense. So, I definitely think I lean towards Warren, but I can't rule out Banks either.
Okay. I was going to ask you about Mason Graham here, 12-1, because we have Mason Graham falling to the Jets at 7. But what if the Jets take Tyler Warren? If there's something to that
Right.
late visit. So if the Jets go Tyler Warren, the Panthers they like Jalen Walker, so they're not going to take Warren or Graham. And then at 9 we have the Saints. They're a wild card, but it feels like they drafted a defensive tackle recently. They could still take Graham, but usually they like these super athletic guys. So what if they go edge rush or trade out the pick? And Graham's here at 10. Do you think that that's a viable bet? Because I feel like in my final mock, I'm gonna have if I've Warren to the Jets, I'm gonna have Graham to the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a viable bet. I mean, especially because you're getting great odds on it. And I mean, I know, some teams do not like the body on Mason Graham at all. I mean, and they think it's going to impact the kind of player he'll be in the NFL and how good he can be. And so, that could be the case. And obviously, the Jets aren't going to broadcast that right now, or neither will Carolina or the Saints. So, I think if you want to do a small kind of long shot one, I think that could make sense. I will also say at the beginning of the process, a lot of team people I spoke with said Mason Graham should go into 11 to 16, 11 to 20 in the teens, based on what he was as a player. But because this draft kind of lacks a lot of that elite plant talent for the top 10 and doesn't have a strong quarterback class, it pushes some guys up, and he's one of them.
Okay, interesting. All right, so they don't have specific players for or specific players for each team beyond 10 overall. So I believe there is teams to it's not showing up here. Maybe you have to go to a different sports book. Let's try BetMGM. So yes, okay, so here we go. San Francisco, where are they? They are pick 11, and so we have positions here. If you don't like anything, we could run through these quickly. Defensive line edge is plus 155. Offensive line plus 160. Cornerback 325. Anything stand out there?
No, I like D line for San Francisco and offensive line. So I have them taking Banks, but I could easily see it being a D lineman.
Okay. All right. So we'll jump to the 12th pick, which is Dallas. Let's see here. So I have them taking Tedero McMillan in my mock draft. So receivers minus 300, unfortunately. Offensive line's 5-1. Running back 11-1. I like receiver, but minus 300 is pretty tough pill to swallow. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. Nothing there. Dolphins are number 13. Offensive line's plus 135. Cornerback 2-1, etc. Anything for the Dolphins? Feels like they can take anything.
Yeah, they're a tough one, but I kind of like the safety one for them. I mean,
Really?
just from kind of secondhand information, I've heard that they were all over Malachi Starks at the pro day and met with him after. Um, and I think that obviously with Iffy Melifanu, I think was a nice kind of underrated signing for them, but the other starting safety is Ashton Davis. So that's, I think, pretty scary. I think, with the way things have gone in the locker room there, I think they really are going to want guys to help change the culture. And Malachi Starks, I've heard rave reviews about, like scouts saying this is kid's like Captain America, like just like the best kid, great leader, great worker, great in the locker room. So I could see them falling in love with him. And the other cool thing about going with safety is if they took Eman Wari, who they had in on a visit, you win that way too. So
Right.
it's not, I mean, you can't rule out D line though for sure. With losing Chris, they really are thin at defensive tackle. So if they took Kenneth Grant, it wouldn't shock me at all. But if you're looking for kind of something with good odds that might have a nice big pay on it, I would think of safety for them.
Scale 1 to 10 from like least confident to most confident. Like, where are you on safety to the Dolphins? Because 7-1 is a great number.
Uh, I mean, I'd probably put it at like a 5,
Okay.
just because it is secondhand, so you gotta have some doubt, and you don't know if maybe they're really eyeing Calvin Banks, because obviously they gotta block for Tua.
Yeah.
They're weak on the inside of the D line, so there's so many variables. Their cornerback, they're ditching Jalen Ramsey, they hope. So they're gonna need cornerback help too, potentially. And Cam Smith hasn't shown a whole lot. So it's just there's so many variables there. I makes me a bit nervous to really go too hard on it, but I do think that Starks one's interesting and safety's interesting to me.
And related, what about Jade Barron? Is that the same thing? I mean, he's corner slash safety, but what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like that teams generally don't take those kind of corner safety nickels in the first round.
Yeah.
They typically prefer to land those guys on day 2. And I want to say, you know, that nickel wasn't the weakest part of the defense with Cater Kohu in terms
Right.
of the coverage. I think if they go corner, it's going to be more of a true outside guy to replace Ramsey or, compete with Cam Smith and Storm Duck.
Yeah. So we got this comment here from Pollyanna saying that Malcolm Starks is 16-1 to be the first defensive back taken, not including Travis Hunter. So Will Johnson's minus 145, Barron's even odds, Emanawari and Starks with 16-1. What do you think about this? This feels a little like Layatu Latu last year. We got like a similar number on him being first defensive player, but Starks first defensive back. What do you think? 16-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are great odds. So you could do a small bet, and come away with a big payday. So So yeah, I definitely feel like that would be something I would consider.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's go back to team by team. We get to the Colts here. Tight end is the favorite minus 115. Offensive line plus 310. So we've had Tyler Booker going there for a while, and then you pivoted to tight end in your mock draft. So would you consider minus 115 for tight end here?
Yeah, I would consider it, but I don't like the minus ones in general, but
Okay.
I would consider it because you also have two ways to win if Warren gets there and Loveland. So I've heard that the Colts really like both players. So um, I don't think Warren gets there, but I mean, last year Bowers was only one spot higher, and
Yeah.
Warren's not as good a prospect. So I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Okay. All right. So the 15th pick is the Falcons. So let's find them. I imagine edge is the favorite. Yeah, defensive line edge minus 325. Cornerback is plus 825. Linebacker 10-1. Any thoughts on some of these long shots, or maybe you love minus 325?
Yeah, I wouldn't take a long shot. I would stick with the D line. I mean, I know there's players that they like, but I think there's just too many good D linemen. I have a hard time thinking they go a different route.
Okay. Yeah, I feel the same way. All right, Cardinals number 16 defensive line edge is plus 175. It's the favorite. Offensive line plus 240. Cornerback plus 350. Linebacker plus 550. I think defensive line edge looks great here at plus 175. Personally, I was told Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, and Derek Harmon as the possibilities here for the Cardinals, unless like someone unexpected drops to them, which could always happen. But how are you feeling about some of these bets plus 175 for defensive line?
Yeah, I think D line to the Cardinals, and I think cornerback would be the other one I might consider with Will Johnson. So yeah, I think those ones look pretty good to me.
Okay. We get to Cincinnati at number 17. Um, Defensive line edge is minus 160. Cornerback plus 350. Safety 6-1. Offensive line plus 650. I think offensive line's interesting plus 650 from what I heard. It's from what I was told is defensive line or offensive line best player available. But I think defensive line will win out. What do you think about this pick?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say otherwise. I mean, just with the kind of the contracts and age and all the factors, I think D line's definitely top of mind. I've had them taking Eman Wari a lot, and I think it's a great fit. So, but I definitely could see where maybe I'm overthinking it myself there. So, um, just because I just feel like that team hasn't been the same since Jesse Bates left. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely think D line is very likely.
Yeah, I heard Imanwari is a possibility too, so it could happen. Okay, so Seahawks at 18. Offensive line is the favorite, minus 125, and then receiver 4-1, tight end plus 725. What are your thoughts here, Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, I would if I were going to I mean, I probably wouldn't bet the O-line, because this is just such a tough team to predict because they will do, they kind of have some obvious ones and then and that you think they're definitely going to go it and then they just take some guy that you thought would go on day 2 and the Seahawks take him in the first round. So they're one of the more difficult teams to project. So I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they were chalk because they got a and took an O lineman because they did a huge investment in Sam Darnold. And if
Mhm.
that doesn't work out, that's probably going to get people fired. So you're going to want to help that guy and helping him, getting him better pass protection, getting him better down and distance with a more consistent run game for Walker and Charbonnet. So I have a hard time with that one because it makes so much sense to go interior O-line, but this is an unpredictable team that can do something you're not expecting, which is, in part why I had them take Jihad Campbell recently. I think him, Eman Wari, I think those could be kind of sneaky picks that they might do. They had both of those guys in for visits as well. And I don't think you could even rule out an edge rusher either,
Yeah.
even though they brought in DeMarcus Lawrence, right? So, yeah, that's just a tough team to predict, tough team
Well,
to bet on.
well, I mean, if you're feeling strong about linebacker, it's 20-1. So
Yeah, I
maybe
mean,
some
I
of that,
think
yeah.
I'm just saying it's possible.
Right, right,
If
yeah,
you think of Mike McDonald coming from Baltimore, that team always has placed an importance on the inside linebacker. Roquan Smith, they gave up good pick for. They drafted interior linebackers in the early rounds, and so you think of that coming from that background, and then you get a guy like Jihad Campbell, who's a legit top 10 talent in this draft. I could definitely see a surprise team taking him in the teens. Like
okay,
I think the Bucks would take him if he gets there, but I'm not sure that he's going to get there. I could see, like someone just said in there, Atlanta. If Atlanta got cleaned out on the D linemen, say like Michael Williams is gone, Shamar Stewart is gone, like say to the Saints and the 49ers, I don't think you could rule out that because they will go best player available in Atlanta. They showed that with Bijan Robinson, a couple years ago. So they'll do that. They aren't afraid to do that.
yeah,
So if Jihad's the best player available, they got cleaned out on the D line, I could see them do it.
okay. Yeah, you said they need to give Darnold help. Maybe they could trade for I don't know, Justin Jefferson and Kevin O'Connell, and that would really help them out a lot. Uh, all right, so let's get to Tampa here. Number 19. We've had Jihad Campbell for a while, but that's linebacker's not even the favorite. It's plus 180. Defensive line is plus 145. Corners 5-1. So what do you think about your hometown Buccaneers?
Yeah, I mean, I feel strongly about that I think if Jihad Campbell got there, I'd have a hard time seeing them go a different route. But I mean, edge rush is important, so I do think that I don't want to put blinders on to other possibilities and just be stubborn in my thinking. So I do think that there could be something to it, but at the same time, the Bucks, they've been pretty good at kind of disguising things. And when you see like Donovan Izaraku being mocked to them quite a bit, it wouldn't surprise me if that almost kind of urges me to do something else because that's kind of Jason Light's MO. He gets real tight-lipped before the draft, but I like them to take Jihad Campbell. I think they also love Carson Seschwinger, the linebacker from UCLA, and I think they're a trade down candidate. So, especially for a team like Cleveland or the Giants, if they want to jump in front of the Steelers to get Shador Sanders, the Bucks are in a prime position to do that trade. So, if they moved down and took Swinger, that wouldn't surprise me either.
Okay. All right, so we go to Team 20, which is the Broncos. I'd be shocked if running back is not the favorite. Yeah, running back is minus 130, receiver plus 475, defensive line plus 550, tight end plus 750. I think the Broncos are going to try to trade up for Gentry. Now, 20-9 seems very easy. They'd have to give up the second round pick this year and third round next year. 20-5 though, it seems way more difficult. So I don't know if they can pull that off, but I do get the sense that they're going to try that. But if they don't trade up for Gentry, Hampton is a possibility at minus 130. But receiver has good value, plus 475. Like they could take Matthew Golden. So what are your thoughts on these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, we have a good friend out in Denver, and he's been saying that he thinks they'll take Hampton. So
Yeah.
I've been sticking with that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Pick 21 is the Steelers. Defensive line is the favorite at plus 210. Quarterback is plus 210. Um, I've heard multiple accounts say that they're preferring defensive tackle over quarterback. So plus 210 for like something that's been widely reported from a team that often leaks. I think that looks pretty good. Now maybe they do go quarterback if this is all smoke, but I have a tough time thinking that like this is not this is actually a smoke because given that they've been so transparent. So I like plus 210 for defensive line. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that as well. I just something about it. I can't buy into the Steelers organization going with Shador Sanders, but
Yeah.
uh, I guess stranger things have happened. But I definitely lean towards that D line prop.
Okay. Yeah. Plus 210 is pretty good. As always, I say like shop around and see if you can get the best number. Chargers defensive line plus 120, tight end plus 350, offensive line and receiver are 6-1, a running back 8-1, corner 9-1. What do you think about the Chargers here?
Yeah, I mean, I think D line. I was going with tight end, but now I'm not confident that Loveland gets to this pick. So I'm more inclined to go with the D line. I think that, the Harbaugh way is gonna be building up the lines. They hit the O line last year, so I mean, I think they're gonna probably be inclined to go D line.
I put Tyler Booker to them, or I think I will. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see it given the way they emphasize the offensive line. I mean, you got Zion Johnson at left guard, and you signed Mekhi Becton. So I think it would really depend on if they how they feel about Zion Johnson. If they maybe given that he's coming up towards that fifth year option contract extension time. Maybe they don't want to pay him and then we'll replace him. But if they hadn't signed Becton, I'd feel a little bit better about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think they need a guard, but still, like, I think defense line should be the favorite. But anyway, Packers defense line plus 110, corner plus 140, wide receiver 6-1. I have them taking Golden. They brought in two receivers. They brought in both top receivers for visits plus Igbuka. Josh Jacobs even said they needed a number one receiver. They didn't address it. Christian Watson's going to be out for half or at least half the year. What do you think about receiver 6-1? If not, anything else here?
Yeah, I like the receiver one, and I think that when you think about D line, they already have 4 first-round picks on that defensive line with Van Ness and Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary and Devontae Wyatt. So you already have 4 first-round picks invested in that position. And then, I think cornerback and wide receiver would be the ones that I'm more inclined to buy into because Jair Alexander could be off the team before long. They need receiver help, and I think last year, they showed that they really are geared towards trying to help their young quarterback turn into an elite player. And taking Jordan Morgan last year, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if they take Golden or a wide receiver at 23.
Yeah, 6-1 is surprising me. I thought it would see like 2-1 or something, but yeah, I think I'm going to bet that one. Minnesota 24, corner is the favorite plus 175, safety plus 275, offensive line plus 333, and so on. Anything for Minnesota, which I feel like they're the biggest candidate to trade down because they only have 4 picks.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're dying to move down, and I do agree with the favorites here being the secondary. That looks like the weakest position group on the team right now.
Okay. All right. So pick 25 belongs to the Texans. Offensive line, the heavy favorite, minus 285. Receiver is interesting, plus 425. And I say that because Tony Pauline said the Texans will not pass on Igbuka at 25. So if you believe that to be true, better than 4-1 odds seems great. What are your thoughts here for Houston?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one for me because I can see where they might fall in love with Igbuka because he's such a great kid and he does everything well and he's a versatile, well-rounded wideout. However, I mean, if they really feel like Cam Robinson can hold out this whole season, then maybe they go receiver one. But I don't know. It just if you think of their draft picks kind of as a group, you can say, well, we could come out of day two with a receiver that can complement Nico Collins and Tank Dell. But we aren't going to get a starting caliber left tackle, most likely in the second or third round. I mean, the odds of that just are not good. So if they want a guy that could be their starting left tackle this year and for the long term, I think that they have to really do it in the first round with someone like Josh Connerly or Josh Simmons. So that's the direction I have them going in the mock, and I could see them, you know, getting a receiver, third receiver on day two. And
Okay.
also, I wouldn't say I'd say that interior O line is something that they could consider as well because they've brought in a bunch of those interior linemen in for pre-draft visits as well. So like Donovan Jackson's been in and Gray Zabel's been in. So I don't think you could rule that out.
Okay. All right. So we go to 26, which belongs to the Rams. Offensive line and cornerback, both favorite plus 275. Quarterback, 4 plus 450. It's strange. Tight end 6-1. What do you think about quarterback? But plus 450. That seems bizarre given that their Super Bowl win is still barely wide open. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I personally have been more inclined to go with a corner for them, but I could see where they would consider O-line. I guess quarterback because there was talk last year that Sean McVay really liked Bo Nix, and that they could consider doing a Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers kind of thing, but it's just hard to when you have a veteran quarterback who wants to win the Super Bowl or you're aiming to get back there with them. It's hard to, not a lot of teams are like Green Bay. They typically are trying to help that guy with their first round pick. So I've been more inclined to think they go with the secondary. I mean, they've done a pretty nice job with patchwork cornerbacks since getting rid of Jalen Ramsey and other guys that aged out there. But I think they could use some long-term, starters there. So I've had them going corner recently.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like them taking a quarterback would feel Packers like, but at the same time, like the Packers made a huge mistake doing that. I mean, not Jordan Love has played well. He hasn't been great, but he's played well. But if they had T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk in 2020, they would have probably won the Super Bowl that year. So they came so close with only one viable receiver against the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship. You have to think that like Higgins would have put them over the top, perhaps, and they would have got a second Super Bowl for Rodgers. All right, so we go to the Ravens at 27. Defensive line is minus 120 / edge. Offensive line plus 350, quarterback plus 650, safety plus 650. I mentioned this. I had Starks to the Ravens in my mock, but now I'm talking to you. I'm rethinking that maybe to Miami. So what are your thoughts here for the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, they're a tough team to project because they have a really good roster, so they could go best player available. So I think D-line is definitely the most likely, but it wouldn't shock me if they went offensive line. It wouldn't shock me if they took a safety either. So yeah, they're so tough to predict because they will go best player available, and I could see all those positions being in play.
Yeah. Nice. Higgins wouldn't put them over the top, or resident Vikings fan, not willing to give the Packers any credit. They were so close to beating them at the end of the NFC Championship. So I don't know. I mean, Higgins would have been a big upgrade over what they had. So I disagree, Matthias. And so anyway, let's get to the Detroit pick at 28. Detroit's defensive line, I assume, is the favorite. Yeah, minus 200. Offensive line plus 225. Cornerback 12-1. Wide receiver 13-1. Any long shots here, or are you willing to eat the chalk at minus 200?
It's a tough one. I mean, I do think that the D-line need is not as big as everyone thinks it is, because they added some depth at tackle with nose tackle from Arizona, Lopez. They have Wingo coming back from injury, who played well as a rookie, so that's already. And then you got Reeder and Aleem McNeil. And then on the edge, they re-signed Davenport, who they really liked. Josh Pascal's coming back. They brought back Al Muhammad, who is kind of an unsung hero of that defense in December, when they got some big wins over the Vikings. And, he really came on and stepped up for them. So I feel like they've added veterans at corner as well, Rock Ya-Sin and Maddox and whatnot. So to go along as the back end guys to go along with Reed. So I really feel like they aren't pigeonholed. So it would not shock me if they did do something surprising, like take a offensive lineman, like a guard, like Tyler Booker or Donovan Jackson. It wouldn't shock me if they took a wide receiver, like Igbuka or Burden or Ayo Manor. I mean, I think they have a lot of different ways they could go with this pick, and I think they could be trade down candidates as well. So, I feel like they will add probably a defensive lineman in the early rounds to give them more depth and competition, but I don't feel like feel like we have to take one at pick 28. I don't think they have that mindset.
Okay, interesting. All right, so we move on to the Redskins at 29. Defensive line / edge is plus 165. Offensive line plus 340. Cornerback plus 340. Receiver 9-1. What are your thoughts on the Redskins at 29?
I like the D-line one, and I like the wide receiver one. So, wide receiver, Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin are in the last year of their contracts. And you'd think they're probably going to re-sign McLaurin, but it's going to be tough to pay both of those guys, even with a quarterback on a rookie deal. And I think they want some young receivers to grow with Jaden Daniels. So I like that wide receiver number. And I think D-line, obviously, in this draft, you couldn't rule it out, because you could have some nice D-line options there at 29 that they are inclined to. So those are the two that I would be interested in with Washington.
Okay. I'm trying to see Jameson Williams trade rumors legit. I mean, you posted this on Twitter, so do you want to say it?
I think that there could be some legitimacy to it in terms of kind of seeing what is offered, but from what I've heard, they would not trade him for anything less than a first-round pick. They might want like a 1 and a 3 kind of thing, or a 1 this year and a 2 next year, or 1 this year, 3 next year, something like that. So they're just in that situation now where they've drafted well, and they got a whole bunch of guys that they're going to have to re-sign, and they gave a big contract to St. Brown, so they might not be able to pay another wideout. They got to pay Hutchinson. That's mandatory. You got Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Laporta, all these bunch of guys worthy that you'd want to keep. So might be hard to keep everyone. So I think if they could get a first-round pick for Jameson Williams, that's something that they might do. But if it's less than a 1, I don't think they would do it, because they could keep him for 2 more years by picking up the 5th-year option. And then if they lose him in free agency, they're going to get a second-round pick or a second day pick back for him anyway as a comp pick. And obviously they're trying to win the Super Bowl, and it's going to hurt their chances of doing that by trading him. So I think you'd only be willing to do that for a first round pick. And I'm not sure they'd have the partner, but I think that some of these rumors are just kind of getting that out there to see if someone's willing to offer a king's ransom.
Okay, and as far as Tuamalo is concerned, he's down to 10-1 today for first round. If he's there for the Lions, is he the guy?
Well, I can't say that, Landon, because it's hard to say who else is going to be there when they're picking this low. So I think if Tyler Booker is there, I think they would take him over to Tuamalo. So, and then I think, there's other defensive ends. If Shamar Stewart's there, I think they maybe they'd take him over to Tuamalo. I'm not sure. I think they really, there's just at that spot in the draft, like last year, they didn't think, Terrion Arnold would slide as far as he did, and then they move up a little bit to get him. So I definitely wouldn't say any one guy is their guy picking that low and with the possibility of unexpected guys slipping.
Okay. Any chance Shuck is the second quarterback drafted? Gone 45-1. Before we move on to the 30th pick.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say there's a chance because I know some team people have told me he was the smartest one, and they interviewed them all, and he was by far the smartest one, and he has a good skill set, and he's mature and everything. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that's impossible.
Okay, interesting. Wow. All right, so we go to Buffalo at 30. Defensive line, edge is the favorite, -110. Cornerback, +275. Safety, 6-1. We've had safety mock there. Offensive line and receiver, 10-1. What are your thoughts here for the Bills?
Yeah, I think the defensive ones all are possible. I don't have a strong enough feeling or information that make me really put my chips on one of them. I just think they're all possible, especially at 30. You just don't know what D lineman might slip there, but I think corner and safety could easily be in play for them.
Okay. All right, so we go to the Chiefs at 31. Offensive line, -105. Defensive line, +160. Running back, 11-1. Corner, 12-1, and so on. What are your thoughts here for Kansas City?
Man, I just have a hard time not thinking it's O-line. But yeah, I think between Josh Simmons and Connor Lee and kind of after what happened in the Super Bowl, it makes sense. So I just have a hard time thinking they would pass on it.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of eye-opening. Eagles in the blitz once, and they got to Mahomes nonstop. Speaking of the Eagles, they had the final pick. Defensive line edge is -105. Offensive line +350. Tight end +650. Safety 7-1. Corner 10-1. What are your thoughts on the champion Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, I think D line edge is most likely because that's where there's going to be good value, and I think that Howie Roseman does a great job of that, of maximizing value. And then you consider the attrition and free agency and the guys they lost there, and they just rotate and can never have enough. So um, I think D line's probably the most likely direction they go. But I do think offensive line would be the other one. And tight end because of the Dallas Goedert rumors. That's interesting because at this point in the draft, you could see where maybe they kind of have some love for Arroyo or Mason Taylor. So the fact that the Goddard stuff kind of got out was that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I do like the offensive line there at plus 350. All right, so Landon asking, any guys you feel confident on compared or Bijan or Gibbs like years past, any position, any player? Stop talking about like picks. You did mention Membo at the beginning. We do have some other stuff to get to, but like some other side bets. But as I find them, any thoughts to that question?
Yeah, Membu would be the best one. Unfortunately, I don't have Bijan or Gibbs caliber feeling on others. Membu's probably my strongest feeling right now.
Okay. All right. So we have to be a top five pick. It feels like this is kind of like redundant to what we're saying. Like Will Campbell's the same number, Genti's the same number. So I feel like we can probably skip that one. Top 10 pick, I think, is more interesting. We have, let's find some pluses. McMillan's plus 185, Sanders 210, Dart 500, Will Johnson 550, Jade Barron 550, Bunker 6-1. Anyone standing out here is a possibility for the top 10 who's plus money?
Not really. I mean, no. I mean, I guess if I like Shamar Stewart might be one because the Saints are unpredictable, and I could see that, or maybe the Carolina ramped up the smoke machine and they're eyeing him there at 8. But yeah, that's probably the best of the positive ones that I would like.
Okay. So to be a first round pick, let's look at the pluses here. See if we can find anything we like. So Trey Amos is 130 plus 130. Mailrow, who's going to be at the draft, is plus 135. Donovan Jackson plus 170. Schlesinger is 220. Nick Scourson plus 220. Burden 230. Shuck 250. Revel 290. I think you had him in your mock draft in the first round. Ursary 6-1. Landon Jackson 6-1. Tuamalo plus 650. So we talked about that. Someone mentioned 10-1. So hopefully you can find a better number there. Jaden Higgins 7-1. Tyleek Williams 9-1. Then we move on. Thomas, Benjamin Morrison 12-1. Jared Wilson 13-1. Elijah Arroyo maybe 16-1, but he's dealing with some injuries. Quinshon Judkins 21-1. That's kind of intriguing. Then we have Jack Sawyer, Darius Alexander, both 22-1. And then we get to the higher odds guys. Does anyone here stand out to you?
Well, some of those early ones you mentioned, I think, could be worth a smaller bet. If you scroll up there, let's see. What is James Pierce?
James Pierce is minus 160.
Oh, minus 160. Okay. Yeah, in terms of positives, I don't believe Milrow. Those corners are tough to predict, but yeah, Amos, Siobhan Revel, maybe a small bet on Tuamolau. But the problem with Tuamolau is I think Detroit really likes him, but I'm not sure if other teams have him in as high a regard. But it wouldn't shock me because the Bills, the Eagles, could use D-line help as well. So that one's a little intriguing to me.
Okay. All right. So we move down. We have this weird one. The Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. In that order is 19-1. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know why they have this here. Shador Sanders number 2. But Shador Sanders to be drafted 15th or later is minus 310. Feels like that should hit, but minus 310 doesn't seem great. Also, quarterback is minus 144, and a kicker to be selected in the first 150s plus 116. Any thoughts on those?
No, nothing that I like there.
Okay. All right. Let's go to team to draft Shador Sanders. Steelers plus 240, Giants plus 330, Browns plus 380, Saints at plus 410. Rams, now we get to the big ones. Rams 14-1, Raiders 15-1, Jets 20-1, Cowboys 31-1, Seahawks 37-1, and then we get to some outlandish numbers there. I have Sanders to the Browns at plus 380. in my mock,
Yeah.
or my final mock at least, not the one published yet. But like, does Jets 20-1 make sense? Like, I know Scott Mason from Play Like a Jet is like yearning for Sanders. Any hope there, or anything else you see here?
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you. I've had him going to the Browns for a little bit here. Um, I feel like that's my favorite landing spot for him. But yeah, kind of those top ones. I think Giants and Steelers are possible as well. But yeah, I just none of the long shots really jump out to me.
Okay, we have $2 super chat from Janan. Thank you so much, Janan. Again, any long shots first round seems like a wide board. Well, okay, let's go back to look at some of those like really long shots, because I've said this a few times on here. I really think this will be true. Like, I think you're going to see a couple of very strange picks happen in like the 20s, like Cole Strange type weird picks, just because there aren't that many first round picks in this draft. So teams might just be like, oh, let's just take a guy we have on our next on our draft board, even though he's consensus like early third rounder. So I think that, like, if you're looking at long shots, I guess anything 30-1 or higher. Oladeo is 30-1. Caleb Johnson 31-1. Kyle Williams has gotten a lot of visits. 31-1. Jordan Burch 31-1. Ewan Malin is 35-1. Jalen Noel 35-1. TJ Sanders 40-1. Savanea is 40-1. Io Manor is 40-1. Swinson 40-1. Terrence Ferguson 40-1. Dylan Gabriel, they'll bet this one, 50-1. Harold Tannen 50-1. Xavier Watts is 50-1. Will Howard 50-1. Tate Ratledge, Isaiah Bond, Darian Porter, Marcus Embaugh, Wyatt Millum, Quinn Ewers, Jack Beck, Cam Scatabo, Cameron Williams, Alfred Collins, Demetrius Knight, Shamar Turner, Andrew Mukaba, Josiah Stewart, Omar Norman, Lots, Jalen Royals, Ozzie Trapillo is 51. So is Kevin Winston, Savion Williams. These are all 50-1. Dylan Sampson, RJ Harvey, Vishal Tudin, DJ Giddens, Tez Johnson, Devin Neal, Torrey Horton, Damian Martinez, Jordan James, Ollie Gordon. They're all 50-1. I think I know who your favorite player is going to be. Is it Ozzie Trapillo?
No,
No, I guess because he's early in your second round, so I thought maybe later.
Yeah. I've had him. I heard team people thought he'd go in the second round, but actually, my favorite for a Cole Strange-ish kind of would be Carson Seschwinger. So he was up there, I think, with some pretty good odds.
Oh, he's only plus 220.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So that isn't that great. But yeah, I could see where he would be a surprising one just based on hearing teams really like him. Other long shot there, I would want to say Judkins because I know teams talk about him having a first round skill set. I just don't see a lot of running back options after the Broncos and Steelers. So at 21 and 20 and 21, once those guys are gone, I just don't think any other team's going to take a running back in the first round. So that's the rub on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, which is too bad. What's Luther Bird in there?
Burden is where'd he go? Is he plus 230? He's plus 230.
Yeah, he's kind of on the bubble there.
Yeah.
But yeah, those aren't not, long shot odds. I would probably, if I was gonna bet this trying to hit on one of these bigger odds, I'd look at Seth Swinger, Burden, JT Tuimoloau. I'd consider, Revel and Trey Amos, but I think Revel, I mean, he took a ton of visits. I think he was a first rounder before the injury, so he might slip to the second rounder, but you might have a playoff team that's patient enough where they'd be willing to take him.
Yeah, Landon Jackson is Landon. Maybe because first name 6-1. I've had Landon Jackson in the first round of my mock draft, not in the final one, but he was there. What about Ursary at 6-1 as well? I've heard like a lot of buzz with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good skill set, and with teams picking late in the first, like the Chiefs and Eagles, I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Okay. All right. So yeah, John, thank you so much for your super chat. All right, let's go to teams to draft. Genty. We have the Jaguars plus 130. I don't know. I mean, he seems like he's the number 5 pick. This is hold on. So Genty is plus 130 here. What is he to go to Jacksonville? Is it different? He's minus 120 to go to Jacksonville, and he's plus 130. Sorry, he's what does it say? He is at Genty to number 5 is minus 120. Yet Jacksonville's plus 130. So I guess the difference here is that there could be a trade up. So I don't know which one's better. Like obviously Genty to number 5 is safer, but I don't know. But plus 130, there's more upside. Which one would you bet?
I'd bet the plus 130.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So any long shots there, like for potential trade up for Genty? Like maybe Denver, they trade up. They're 14-1.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that would be one to consider, but I just don't think there's gonna be a trade up, and I think he'll just go 5.
Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, so teams to draft. Dart, the Saints are not the favorites. They're plus 270, even though there is a lot of rumors that they like him. Although there's been rumors that the Giants like him too, so I guess that's why they're the favorite. And he leans on Jackson Dart destination.
Yeah, I lean towards the Saints based
Okay.
on what I've heard. I think, I don't think the Giants are 100% sold, and it sounds to me like the Saints have done a lot of work on him and shown, a heavy amount of interest.
Okay. Teams to draft Milrow. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because he's probably second rounder.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising to me that he's going to the draft, to be honest.
Yeah.
But as a second day guy, it's just hard to think that he's, going to go in the first. But when you're a second day guy, I have a hard time kind of projecting where he could go because, especially once you get in the third round, teams are drafting guys that have a grade for a future backup. So you can get, backup quarterback there. So that opens it up to a wide range of teams that could think of taking a backup quarterback in the third round.
Okay. Yeah, and just saying a lot of rumors this year was Milrow. Yeah, I mean that could be the case too. So if that's true, Steelers plus 410 look pretty good, but you never know on day 2. Team draft McMillan. We talked about how Dallas takes them maybe. Dallas to take a receiver is I think minus money if I remember correctly, and Dallas to take McMillan is plus 125. So I like that better. So maybe a way to get better odds there. Any thoughts on this before we move on?
No, I can't. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Teams to draft Hampton. Denver's the favorite plus 115. Would you bet this or anything else?
I like that. Yeah, I mean, I like that team to draft Hampton. I think that's a I might not do huge, but I like that.
Okay. Team draft Scat. Any thoughts on that? I mean, this is I feel like a lot. Like just fire up in the air. I don't know. Like any thoughts on this? They're all 9-1.
No, I don't know a team that is, locked in on taking him, so
Okay.
I couldn't pick one.
Okay. Is there anything else on here? Well, we have over unders that we can get to, and then that might be it. So over under on Genty over 6.5 is plus 280, under 6.5 minus 460. Just bet him to go 5, right? Like the minus
Yeah.
460 is too tough.
Yeah, I'd do the minus.
Okay. Jackson Dart over 25.5 or under 25.5. I would lean over. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd do the over.
Okay. Minus 140 is not great, but I think it'll hit. Matthew Golden, or 16.5 over under. What do you think?
I'd go with the over
Mhm.
if I had to do one.
Okay. Omarion Hampton, 20.5. Under is very expensive. So might as well just bet him to go to Denver because he's under 20.5 is minus 210.
Yeah, I'd do that over, to
Okay.
have or well, yeah, going to Denver, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So McMillan, under is 11.5, over 11.5, but the over 11.5 is minus 192. I think he's going to Dallas, but like, is anyone in the top 11 going to take him? I mean, you mentioned maybe the Saints. What?
Yeah, I'm just saying that is yeah, as they're so unpredictable. So no, I don't think anyone's gonna take him in the top 11.
Okay. All right. So Tyler Warren is 10.5. I would bet the under, but it's minus 192, so it's not great.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. First quarterback drafted, not Cameron Ward. Shador Sanders is minus 195. Dart, those plus 185. And if you like Chuck, he's 10-1. Would you bet anything here?
Yeah, I mean, I might do a small one on Tyler Shuck, just for the possibility that that's the one I like the most as kind of hitting something with bigger odds of this group. I mean, I do think Shador is probably the second one taken, so I wouldn't bet big on it. But oh, sorry about that. But you could do a small bet, and and if you hit, you get a big payday out of it.
Okay. First running back drafted, Hampton's minus 400. You mentioned Judkins, though, as having a good skill set. Any thoughts on 25-1 for Judkins to be the second running back?
Uh, I mean, the problem is there's just it's gonna be beauty in the eye of the beholder. Between you could lose that bet to Hampton or Trey Henderson, so I wouldn't bet it, even though I like Judkins and I know team people that do. I just wouldn't bet it because I think there's too high a chance that Hampton or Henderson go ahead of him.
Okay. First receiver, we have McMillan minus the 320. I think it's too high of a number. Um, any thoughts on this before we move on?
No, I agree with you.
Okay. I feel like same with tight ends with Warren. Do you agree? Minus 430.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. Okay. Offensive lineman, Will Campbell minus 2,000. Just bet him the minus 500 to go to the Patriots. First defensive lineman, Mason Graham's minus 430. Michael Williams 430. Kenneth Grant is 55-1 to be the first defensive lineman taken. I'm highlighting this because you had a hot press a few months ago, I think during the Senior Bowl, where you said that some teams have Grant over Graham. So
Yeah.
any
Some
thoughts on this?
teams
Other
graded him
Michael,
high.
yeah, other Michael
Yeah.
Williams could ruin this, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a long shot. I wouldn't bet it, but I
Okay,
do know some teams that liked Grant more.
okay, okay. All right. So first defensive back, we already looked at this. Starks is 11-1, so we looked at that already. Total number of quarterbacks in the first round. Over 2.5 is minus 122. Under 2.5 is minus 108. I think the under looks great there. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the under.
Okay.
I have a hard time I know the media's hyping it up. I just have a hard time seeing three quarterbacks in the first round. Even two is not easy
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah,
So
it could easily just be one. Like I don't
right.
see why it's like if it was 1.5, I feel like it'd be a little interesting. 2.5, like there are gonna be three quarterbacks. Like this quarterback draft class is not good. So yeah, I would say under as well. Lucas saying, can you check draft specials and make a parlay on their draft parlay builder? We'll check it out. Draft specials. We already looked at these. So we already looked at these. Draft parlay builder. So you can build a parlay here: first quarterback, first running back, etc. These are a lot that we looked at. Can we build a parlay for top 10 pick and maybe some of these other things? So we are confident that Jalen Walker and Membu will go, right?
Right.
And Tyler Warren in the top 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Anyone else? We have Mason Grant. Like, would you put Mason Graham definitely in the top 10?
Yeah,
I feel
I'd
like he
probably.
doesn't. I feel like he doesn't change his odds too much. Yeah, it goes from 161 to 174. So I feel like you don't even need to do that. There's also Kelvin Banks, Michael Williams, McMillan, Shador Sanders, Jackson Dart, Will Johnson, Booker, Barron, etc. Shamar Stewart, perhaps, if you're feeling bold. Are any of these stand out to you, or do you just want to go with this?
I go with that. Yeah. If
Yeah. Well, it's plus 161, which seems like
yeah,
very viable here. Like I mean, it comes down to
yeah,
Warren, I think, because we're very confident Membu and Walker will be there. I think Warren would be the one to lose it for you, perhaps, but
right.
like there's still, I feel like the Jets could easily take him. The Bears could easily take him. Saints you
Hmm.
mentioned as a possibility.
Yep.
So those three teams, like you have three outs with Tyler Warren, basically. So I just moved to plus 157. So maybe you need this gram to move to plus 170. Yeah. So I would still run this. If you wanted to, first tight end drafted, you could add in Tyler Warren minus 430. Oh, you can't do that. Never mind. Yeah, I guess that's all you could do. Or maybe you could add first round pick. Let's see like what this would do. If you added Amon Warren, can you do that? Yeah, you can. We could add to be first round pick here. So there's some expensive ones like Hampton minus 1,500, Amon minus 1,350, Booker minus 950, and then we have everything else. Do you want to add anything to our parlay here, or do you just want to leave it at that?
I guess I would leave it at that.
Okay. All right. I think plus 154 is pretty good. Since I like your parlay, Landon. What is your parlay? I don't see it. If you wanted to post it, here we go. Top 10 for Warren, Walker, Membu, which we just did, and then first round Pearson Harrison. So he just did the same thing we did. He just added Pearson Harrison in the first round. He got plus 526, so better than 5-1 for that. Would you add that to get the 5-1? Or before you answer, something you could do, which is Evan Daniel, who's our Tuesday co-host during the season. This is something he does. So he takes like a safe parlay, and he bets like the most on it, just like the one we did. That's like very likely to hit, and then he'll go a little bit smaller on something like this that Landon posted. So he's going to have like a long shot, or maybe not 5-1's not a long shot, but like a decent amount where he'd win. And if he didn't win, he's still going to be covered with the parlay that we made. So, what are your thoughts on Landon's parlay with Pearson Harrison added for first round?
Yeah, I would do that bet. I mean, like for a unit or so, like I think there's a good chance that you win that one.
Okay, we had a recommendation to look at Caesars real quick. So, what else? What do they have here? They have conference players, which I don't like because honestly, I forget which teams are in which conference because they change so much. Like which Pac-12 teams went to the Big Ten? I like gun to my head, I couldn't answer that. I know some of the teams like USC and Washington, Oregon. I was what was the other? Did UCLA go? I can't remember. What was the fourth one? That
Yeah,
went.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. So we had we have some more positions here. Graham is 5.5. Over 5.5 is minus 330. It's okay. So it's basically like, does Jacksonville take him? No, and then like you get minus 330. So feels like if you think Graham is not going to go to Jacksonville, this is almost like free money because he's not going
Right.
to go top 4. Members over 6.5 minus 290. So we have a better bet than that. Jalen Walker under 8.5 feels very safe at minus 500. Although minus 500 is not going to win you a lot of money.
Right.
Would you bet this at all, knowing that what you know about Walker, or like I don't know, is it not worth
I
it?
don't
Minus
think it's
140.
worth it, really. Yeah.
Okay, so we did Genty and Warren already. Will Johnson over 11.5 is minus 450, under 11.5. It's interesting. His over is so high now, whereas like he looked like a top 10 lock for a while. Um,
Right.
do you think that there's any value to under 11.5 plus 320?
No, I wouldn't do it.
Really? Okay, interesting. Yeah, it changed a lot, right? Kelvin Banks, 13.5. The over is plus 375. So this looks like pretty certain he's going to go top 13. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think there's a chance he sneaks out of the top 13?
Uh, Man, that's a tough one because between the Saints, Bears, 49ers, and Dolphins, even the Cowboys, there's just a lot of landing spots there. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I think he'll go top 13.
Okay. All right. So Michael Williams is under 15.5 is minus 535. Doesn't seem worth it. Jihad Campbell's over 15 is minus 700. You could go to Atlanta, although you could just probably, I guess you can't bet that directly. Any thoughts on the under 15.5 plus 450 for Campbell?
Uh, I wouldn't do it because I think you kind of need Atlanta to get cleaned out on the edge rushers for that to happen, which I don't think is likely. I think it's possible, but I wouldn't say likely. I think that between Michael Williams and Shamar Stewart, one of them gets there. I mean, maybe even James Pierce, although I doubt it because he has, significant character issues and Atlanta's pretty strict on that. So I don't think they would go that route, but I would say it's not impossible. Uh, Maybe Raheem Morris, kind of feels he can work some magic with Pierce and they're comfortable with him. You just never know that kind of thing. So I wouldn't bet that because I just think there's too high a chance they take a D lineman.
Okay. All right. Mike Green's over 17.5 is minus 350. It's a high price, but we didn't talk about him at all in the first round. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I would go with the over at 17 and a half.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, maybe Atlanta would think of him, but I doubt it. I think they're gonna want a more complete player. And at 6'3", 250, he's really not that different from what they already have in Arnold Ebiketie, and they signed Leonard Floyd as well. So I think if they're gonna go D line, they're gonna want more of that bigger base end type, like Michael Williams or Shamar Stewart.
Okay. McMillan, we did that one. Golden over 17. We did Golden, I think. Loveland, we did. Jade Barron over 18.5 is plus 135. Under is 18.5 is minus 165. I mean, you mentioned that like those nickel safety hybrids tend to fall. So those over
Yeah.
18.5 plus 135 look good to you?
Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Marion Hampton, we talked about him. Dart as well. Malachi Starks. You mentioned him to the Dolphins possibly. 23.5 under 23.5 is plus 175. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I like that one for Starks. I think it's possible. So again, that info was secondhand, so you
Okay.
gotta, take it with some doubt, but I like it.
Okay. Amanawari is the same, but his odds are they're better. So it looks like over 23.5 is the favorite there. Oh no, sorry, never mind. He's more likely to go under 23.5 than Starks. So I mean, we already talked about him. Kenneth Grant, someone interesting there, is under 23.5 is minus 275. It's pretty late. Like this is a guy that we talked about in the top 10. I feel like he's been all over the place. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. What are your thoughts on Grant?
Yeah, it's because some teams really like him and other teams don't. He's a bit of a love-hate 'cause I've heard it kind of unique personality. And then you also, factor in it's a nose tackle and he might be more scheme specific where certain teams that run a certain scheme will like him more than others. So it makes him harder to predict, but yeah, I mean I think he's got a good chance of going in the top 25. What was that number again for him?
The under is 20 under
22
23 and a half. Under 23 and a half is minus 275.
Yeah, I would be more inclined to do the under on him, but it's kind of a tough call because he's difficult to predict. But I know some teams picking high that like him. I know some teams picking lower don't, and so it's just that could be not a good recipe because the high teams could go another route and stuff. So yeah, I'd probably leave it alone, but if I had to do one, I'd go with the under.
Okay. Um, Tyler Booker is 24 and a half. Heavy vig to the under. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I did have him going to the Colts for the longest time, but I could see where they just don't value necessarily taking a guard that high. So at that number right now, I mean, I could see him going in the 25 to 32 range.
Okay. Egbuka's 28 and a half. James Pierce, 31 and a half. Travion Henderson, 32 and a half. Luther Burden, 32 and a half. Any thoughts on those?
Not necessarily. I mean, Trey Henderson could be a surprise first rounder, but I'd be more inclined to do the over if I was gonna bet.
Okay. Interesting that the over for Burden is now minus 300. It looked like for a while that he's probably going to go the first round, but he's now looks like second round. But I feel like he's right on the cusp. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so maybe there's some value in the plus 225. What do you think on under 32 and a half? Although I feel like slightly, I feel like it's not like a coin flip. It might be like 60-40 he goes second round.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Plus 225 still would be pretty decent there. Okay. Anything else? We had a couple of questions on the way out. He says, Landon says Grant at 48-1 for 9 and 100 to 1 at 7. If he's graded higher by a wildcard team like the Saints, is it worth a small wager? He's talking about Saints 48-1 for Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna take him, but I mean that's a huge payday, so it would be. I mean, you could bet something small,
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. What are historically the tight-lipped and wildcard teams? Feels like there's value with Grant. The Patriots were very tight-lipped when Belichick was there. Because Belichick wouldn't even tell anyone. The joke was he wouldn't even tell his dog what the pick would be.
Yeah, Saints are as we hit on. Seattle's always unpredictable. They'll do unique things, and then otherwise, tight-lipped. Baltimore's typically pretty tight-lipped, and they can go BPA. So. That's another one that kind of can be a tight-lipped wild card, I guess.
Okay. And last question we have here. How do you like under 6.5 offensive linemen at 1 and minus 110? I didn't see that on here, but probably find it. One of Simmons, Connolly, Zabel, or Booker can easily fall out of the first round, and this hits. Under 6.5 linemen. So we have for offensive linemen, we have Campbell, we have Membu, we have Banks, yep. Booker. Zabel, we have Connolly, Simmons, so that's 7. Am I missing anyone? Because there could also be someone else like a Donovan Jackson who sneaks in.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Donovan Jackson could sneak in. I mean, I guess you'd say it's not impossible that Ursary sneaks in, but. I mean, overall, I would be inclined to do that over.
Okay, yeah, me too. Yeah, offensive line just is such a premium position or area for a team. Degeneron, $40 super chat. Thank you so much, Degeneron. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
He says you guys crushed it again. Cheers, gents. Yeah. Thank you so much, Degeneron. Your great support here is really appreciated. It just means so much to us. This is like 20x what we get from YouTube ads, probably even more. So it's really appreciated. So I can't say that enough. Thank you so much. Yeah, Vikings says Seahawks will take Bo Callahan. What are the odds on that? I would love to like see the odds on that, hypothetical odds from the draft day movie, which is I still one of the most bizarre movies I've ever seen in my life. Have you seen Draft Day? I don't think I ever talked to you about that.
Yeah, I did see that. It felt like it could have been good and they missed the mark.
Yeah, they missed the mark so much that
Yeah.
I thought well, first of all, I thought the main character was the father of Jennifer Gardner and not her boyfriend. And so when they started making out, I'm like, oh, this is strange. So I did catch that. And then all those weird trades that he made during draft day, and then he bullied the Jaguars GM because he was a new guy, which kind of reminds me of now because they have a young guy there. So yeah, that's I feel like I need to break down that movie at some point. How can we donate? I mean, there should be a super chat button. You could also on the site there's an option to have just ad free, and so it's $7.99 a month. But you get like an ad free experience, and the I'm not joking, but the site is so fast if you have an ad free experience. Like I know we have a lot of ads on the site, like we need it. It's expensive. Hosting is very expensive. We have to pay a lot of expenses, so it's unfortunate. I would love to have fewer ads, but we just need to. But yeah, I mean, if you want to sign up for the ad-free experience, that's a great way to donate at $7.99 a month. But yeah, the site is so fast, you won't have any issues at all. Plus, we have some perks. Like during the season, we'll have like premium injury reports. So we have a premium contest that you can enter and win money. So yeah, I think that I think that's just another good way to do it. Is Abel going to be closer outcome to Cody Mock or Dylan Radunes? We didn't talk about Zabel really. What are your thoughts on Zabel?
I would say Cody Mock more than Radunes. Yeah, I
Okay.
definitely. I was not a fan of Radunes coming out, and I do like Sable.
Yeah, next talk about the movie. They lost me when the crowd cheered Goodell. I should have mentioned that too. I have to like rewatch it carefully and like notice all the flaws and like talk about it. Maybe Tom and I could do that one Saturday. All right, so yeah, guys, thank you so much for commenting and watching. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna have the draft props that I personally bet written on the site. Charlie, if you hear anything, I don't know, like where you would post it, or if you would pass it on to me and I would post it. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Because you said you're going to be talking to some sources tomorrow.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll pass it on to Walt, and then he can post it
Okay.
with his props, and then potentially in his draft day live blog and stuff. So anything I hear that I think would be good to put some action on, I'll send it to Walt, and he'll get it out to you guys.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, hopefully we get some info tomorrow. Some late info is always great. We had the couple years in a row. I feel like with Bijan a couple years ago, and then as well as Penix too. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we get something. So yeah, guys, once again, thank you so much. Thank you especially to DeGeneron for this $40 super chat plus three $2 super chats. So thank you so much to Jenna for the $46. Thank you to John C for the $9.99, and thank you DL for the $4.99. Just thank you so much, guys. Can't say enough.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'll be back tomorrow. Kenny said he cannot come on; he has an event, so I might be flying solo, or if I find a co-host, we'll do something then that way. But if Charlie passes along anything, not only will I add it to the draft bets page, I will also talk about it tomorrow night. So that's maybe another way to get it. And then I will be live after the draft at some point. Probably like 10, 15 minutes after the first round's over. I've said this before, no Saturday show because I'm going to be wiped out from day 3. It's it's a mess. Plus UDFA is going to be going on too, so it's going to be tough to be live, and I have to post team grades. But yeah, shows tomorrow and Thursday. Good luck with all your bets. Charlie, anything on the way out as far as content or anything else?
Well, we got everything up, position rankings, big board, all that stuff, and our 7-round mocks are getting updated each day, of course, and all the way up to our final editions on Thursday. So we're grinding it out, sleeping little, but working hard and loving it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. Make our dreams come true. We really appreciate all of you, and enjoy the draft. It's here. It's Christmas Day. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a blast. It's that time of year. So yeah, guys, good luck with all your bets. As I said, have fun watching the draft. It should be a lot of fun. Interesting pulling for you, Charlie, on the Gruden running back competition.
Yeah, we'll see. Bobby's a good friend of mine, so I really don't care. We both kind of felt like whoever won the coin toss would probably have the better group there. So yeah, I don't know when we'll do more. We'll just see. The schedules are kind of all up in the air, so it's weird. But yeah, Bobby's a great guy, so I'm happy if he gets it, as well.
When will your bets be posted? By sometime tomorrow afternoon, maybe even the morning. Just depends on how much I get done tonight, because I have to update my mock and do some other stuff. So and perhaps make a trip to New Jersey, which I probably was going to do. So all right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night, and yeah, I'll talk to you then.